I'm here to talk to you this morning about studying in the School of Earth and Environmental Sciences. Our school is a very large and very diverse school, as you might guess from the name. I don't know if any of you were here for the previous talk, but in the previous talk my colleague was speaking to prospective students about studying in biomedical science and biotechnology and areas like that, which tend to have a predominantly human biology focus. In our school, I always like to say, we study all the rest of life and the planet itself, which is a pretty large remit, I'm sure you'd agree. So humans, as you know, are one species. There are, of course, millions and millions of other species on the planet, and in our school, some of the things that we're interested in are the ecology and the evolution of those species, but we're also interested in the planet itself. How does our Earth work? And of course, our Earth is critically important to all of us. And I don't want to underplay the importance of medicine. Obviously, we are all really pleased when we can go to our doctor and our doctor can help us get better. But it's also important that we look after our planet, because without our planet, there wouldn't be anything here for any of us. So those of you who are interested in studying in earth and environmental sciences, you're interested in studying what I think is probably the most critical area of scientific study that we can pursue. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about what we do in earth and environmental sciences. So as it says there, and as I've already explained, we're interested in the planet from the rocks, from the things that make up the planet itself and how the planet works, Earth systems, geology, things of that nature, all the way through to the living components of our planet. And these things are not as separate as you might think. Sometimes it might seem odd to have geology and biology in the one school, but in fact they both influence each other because, of course, geology influences the makeup of soils and the topography of the planet, and those things influence vegetation, plants, which support animals and the rest of the living system. And then, of course, vegetation and animals also influence the planet. They also have an influence on our Earth systems. So when oxygenic photosynthesis evolved some millions and millions of years ago, it had a huge impact on the nature of our atmosphere, on the gaseous composition of the atmosphere, and subsequently on things like the rates of weathering. So you can see how geology and biology are actually intimately linked together. So it's not quite as odd as it might seem to have these two things in the one school. As I'm sure you also appreciate, our world is changing. And it's changing both because of through natural causes, but also because of human influence on the planet. And so it's really important that we have scientists in the future who are trained to understand the planet and the organisms that live on our planet, so that we can make well-informed decisions about how we utilise resources, how we manage the systems on our Earth. So what kinds of things can you study in earth and environmental sciences? If you are interested in the planet and in the things that live on the planet, what can you do? Well, we have a range of programs in our school. We have, of course, the Bachelor of Science, which is a generalist degree, and if you study the Bachelor of Science or the Bachelor of Science Advanced, these are both general degrees that enable you to select the particular direction of your study yourself. They're very good, especially if you aren't exactly sure what you want to do when you first come to university. It enables you to sample a range of things at first year, and then perhaps you might start to get a better feel for what you like. So certainly if you want to study in earth and environmental sciences, you can enrol in a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Science Advanced. And you can then, if you do continue on in our school, you then choose to do what we call a major. A major is just where you, as you go from first year into second year and through to third year, you gradually narrow down the area of interest that you might want to study. So you may do a major in one of the areas that we specialise in, and I'll explain some of those to you in a little while. But in addition to those generalist degrees, the Bachelor of Science and the Bachelor of Science Advanced, we also have some named degrees in the school. So these are degrees that right from the start have a particular focus to them. And some of you may already have decided what you want to be. You may already have decided, I want to be a geologist, I want to go out there and be part of the resources industry, or you may have decided that you actually are interested in marine biology, for example. So we have named degrees in these areas, and again, a little bit later on in the talk, I'll outline some of those named degrees for you. Just as an example, if you come into degrees in earth and environmental sciences, the typical sorts of things that you might study at first year are not that dissimilar from what a lot of other students at first year will be studying. So in first year, you normally we have 2 semesters, and you normally take 4 courses in each semester. So you have 8 courses total in the whole of first year. In amongst those 8 courses, you will be studying, if you do earth and environmental sciences, you'll probably be taking biology, geology, chemistry. But that will still leave you room for what we call electives. So you can still select some other courses at first year. And one of the things that I always like to emphasise to people is that even when you study biology, it's really important to have an understanding of chemistry. So I really encourage any of you who are interested in doing biology and geology that if you're doing chemistry at school, or that you should be doing chemistry at school, and to please continue doing it. Don't think that you can just study biology and come and be a biologist. You can do that, but you will do much, much better if you've studied chemistry at high school. Likewise, mathematics. It's not essential, but all sciences are becoming increasingly quantitative. And so if you're studying mathematics at high school, or if you're in year 10 and you're thinking about what to do at year 11 and 12, then I would encourage you to do both chemistry and mathematics. You can do biology if you want to, but it doesn't matter if you haven't done biology. When you come to university at first year, we'll teach the biology to you. It's much more important to have the maths and the chemistry. So I'd really like to emphasise that to those of you who are at that stage where you can actually think about what you're doing in year 11 and 12. Likewise, in first year, for example, if you wanted to do some maths in first year, there's plenty of room in the program to do that. Not essential at first year, but again, if you're thinking of going down a quantitative path in the biologies or the geologies, then that's a very good elective to take. So what I want to do now is just talk a little more about some of the majors that you can do in the School of Earth and Environmental Sciences. So you remember I said majors are when you take the Bachelor of Science or the Bachelor of Science Advanced, and as you get towards third year, you gradually narrow down your area of interest. So here you can see a list of the majors that we teach in Earth and Environmental Sciences. So we have geology, applied geology and geophysics, botany, zoology, ecology and spatial science together, which is what we call an extended major. Spatial science is learning how to do remote sensing and using GIS systems, things like that. So these are the majors, and we provide courses, particularly at second and third year, that support these majors. So you can study in all these different areas under the Bachelor of Science or the Bachelor of Science Advanced. Just as an example, if you did a major in ecology, zoology, botany or spatial science, what kind of a career might you have? There are actually many, many different kinds of careers you could have, but you may be someone who goes out and works for a consulting company or works for the government, ends up working for a government department, doing environmental impact studies, things of that nature. That means you go out and you assess the ecology, the vegetation, the flora and fauna in a particular area to have an understanding of what exists there before some other activity comes in and might change that ecology in some way, so that we know what we want to try and return it to after that particular activity has completed. Likewise, you might be someone who has a real passion for conservation. You might be interested in the threatened species, of which we have many in Australia, and of course increasing numbers of them around the world. So if you study in these areas, then you will be able to work as a conservation biologist, not just here, but anywhere in the world. Which is another point I'd like to make about a career in science. One of the fantastic things about being a scientist is that it opens up doors for you all around the world. You have skills that are transferable in an international context. For example, in my own career, I started as a scientist, I started as a student here in Australia. I did my undergraduate degree at James Cook University in Townsville. I then went to the ANU in Canberra where I did my PhD. After that, I went and worked for 6 years in the UK as a postdoctoral scientist. During that time, I was working on a project where we were looking at a particular parasitic plant that was a weed of crops in Africa. So I went and worked in Tanzania for a while as well. Then I also worked in the United States, and then eventually I came back to Australia and to Adelaide. And even now in Adelaide, I have colleagues all around the world. I have colleagues in Japan, in Europe, in the US, and I frequently travel to work with them. So it's a very exciting career, being a scientist. It gets you to all sorts of interesting places. So I also mentioned to you that we have these named degrees, these degrees that focus in particular areas. So if you already know the direction you want to go in, this might be the program for you. So we have a program in marine biology, one in natural resources, another one in evolutionary biology, and finally one in mineral geoscience. These are quite popular programs, particularly the marine biology and mineral geoscience programs. We have quite high student numbers in these particular programs. So again, just a few examples of where study in these areas might take you. So natural resources, if you have a degree in natural resources, this is the kind of background that's all about working in conservation, environmental management, things like that. So as it says there, you may end up working for national parks, for example, or for another government department, or working for local government as a land manager, things of that nature. Very important area, and one where there's an increasing demand for people with the kinds of skills required. And you frequently get to work with very cute furry animals, which are always popular, I find. As I said, this is one of our more popular degree programs, marine biology. A very iconic South Australian marine organism, of course, the leafy sea dragon up there. If you have a degree in marine biology, as it says there, you could become an aquatic ecologist, working on management of marine systems, understanding those marine systems, fisheries biology, managing mangroves, things of that nature. And also, as you're probably aware, the marine environment is one where we take a lot of, it's one of our resources. We take a lot of fish from the marine environment, so it's a very important area for people to build an understanding of how those fisheries systems work. And there are plenty of problems facing the marine industry in terms of finding sustainable ways to fish. So very important areas. You might be someone who loved dinosaurs as a kid, and I'm sure plenty of you did. We also offer a degree in evolutionary biology, and that evolutionary biology program does have a paleontology stream in it. So if you are one of those people who loves fossils and loves the past and wants to understand about how life evolved, how it changed through time, then this is one of the things that you can study here. But evolutionary biology is not just about looking back at fossils. We also use increasingly molecular evidence to try and understand the evolution of life on the planet. That means looking at DNA, understanding how DNA varies between different individuals, between populations of individuals, and what that can tell you about their evolution. So we have a very large research area in the school where people are using DNA technologies to understand evolution. I'm sure all of you are aware of how big the mining industry is in Australia, and we are a country that, whose economy relies enormously on natural resources, and of course those mineral resources are part of that economy. So being a geologist, a very important career, understanding how to find those resources, how to extract them in an environmentally sustainable way. Very important questions. So we offer this program in mineral geoscience as well. But we also have, as I said before, a major in geology and one in applied geology and geophysics. So we do a lot of research, research in the geosciences as well, that is not necessarily focused specifically on the mining industry. It's more about understanding the Earth and the geological evolution of the Earth and how it works. So we have people who work in tectonics, for example, understanding how continents evolved, those sorts of questions. So you might be someone who's a geologist, but who's much more interested actually in the planet itself and how that planet works. Lots of exciting research going on in geology in the school. So here's just a list, and it is by no means an exhaustive list, of the kinds of careers that you might be able to expect to move into after studying one of our degrees or doing one of our majors in the Bachelor of Science or the Bachelor of Science Advanced. The other thing that I would say, and you can see this is a group of students from one of our field trips earlier this year, we have a lot of fun in our school. We're a very sociable and friendly group of people, and our students invariably enjoy themselves enormously when they study with us. Just a couple of examples of past students. Selena Donnelly is a student who studied geophysics. She's gone on to have a degree in the energy resources sector, working with Santos, having a career with Santos, sorry. Simon Drummond did a Bachelor of Science Marine Biology. He's now an aquatic ecologist, working, as it says there, with a consulting company. So what kinds of students tend to come and study with us? Well, obviously you've got to be someone who's interested in one of those fields of study that we offer degree programs in. But we also find that our students are often they're often leaders in their own way. They often inspire other people because they're frequently passionate about what they're interested in doing. So as it says there, they're often leading and showing other people the way. They're also resilient and able to work quite effectively on their own. They're often self-starters, very motivated. And again, I think this comes from having a passion about a particular area. But as I said, we're also very friendly people in our school. So our students also tend to be people who work well in teams. And you get plenty of experience working in groups when you come and study with us, because we do a lot of work out in the field, and as an undergraduate, field trips are quite a big part of what we do. So as you can see there, If you are interested in any of our programs, you're going to get the experience working out in the field, taking your theoretical understanding of different systems out into the field and building that understanding in a real-world context, getting to use your knowledge in real situations. But we also work in labs. So our work is not only field-based, we also do a lot of work in laboratories. So I've already mentioned that we do, for example, in evolutionary biology, we have a lot of people working with DNA technology. Likewise, in geology, we have a lot of people using various advanced technologies for mineral analysis and for answering questions about the Earth's evolution as a geological system. So plenty of opportunities to work both outdoors, but also to learn state-of-the-art ways of actually approaching scientific questions. And the field work, though, is actually something that really sets our school apart from the others in the Faculty of Sciences. This is the field-based school. So you really get to get out there and have that opportunity to do the field work. Fieldwork, as I've said already, is really important for taking that understanding that we give you in lectures and pracs here on campus out into the field and getting that first-hand experience. It's also really important for actually generating questions, because a lot of the questions that we ask come from actually being out there in the field and observing things and asking, why is that like that? Why is that mountain range there? Why does that organism exist there and nowhere else? So you can't actually generate the questions unless you go out into the world and observe. So this is very much at the heart of what we do. However, there are always some students who don't like fieldwork, hard as that may be to believe. So even if you're not one of those outdoorsy kind of people who loves getting out there in the hiking boots and traipsing around the countryside, there are still plenty of opportunities for working in lab-based fields in what we do. Excuse me. What about me? Just very briefly. Earlier on I told you a little bit about my background, how it had taken me to all different places in the world. I'm a botanist, but I'm a special kind of botanist that's called a plant physiologist. That means I'm interested in how plants work. How do they take sunlight, for example, and turn the energy from that sunlight in combination with carbon dioxide into sugars, which form the basis of all of our food chains? How do they do that? That's one of my areas of interest. But I'm also very interested in how plants are influenced by their environment. How are they going to respond to a changing climate, for example? So I have research projects looking at these sorts of questions. And one of the other more exciting places that my research has taken me is Antarctica. And that picture on the left there is a picture of us working in the field in Antarctica. And that person right in the centre of the picture there is one of my students who came to Antarctica with me a couple of years ago to work on a project down there. And a number of my other colleagues in geology and biology have projects in Antarctica too. So we, as I said, we work out there in the world, and it's a pretty exciting place to be, believe me. So just to let you know that in addition to Open Day today, which is a fantastic opportunity to come onto the campus, to see the facilities here, to meet people, to talk with people, to ask all the questions that you have about what should I do, what should I study before I come to university, what's it going to be like when I come to university, what kinds of courses should I enrol in. That's what you have the opportunity to do today. We also have open night, as it says there, later on in the year, so I'd encourage you to keep an eye out for that. If you're interested in coming to the university to study, come along in December as well. If you are interested in studying in our school, Earth and Environmental Sciences, we have a marquee just out here on the southern side. I always have to get my bearings right. The southern side of the Braggs building. There's a marquee where you can go and talk to people who will be able to tell you about our programs and our courses. All the things that I've been giving you just a bit of a taster of this morning, they'll be able to give you more information if you have specific questions. There's also going to be a tour that should commence just shortly after the talk finishes outside the building here, and there'll probably be someone with a little flag or something that you'll be able to identify them. If you want to have a tour, particularly of this fantastic new building, and see the fabulous teaching labs that we have upstairs, then I'd encourage you to participate in one of these tours, and that will be starting very soon. Of course, if you have questions that you may not think about today, they come to you after you've been around the campus today, you can always go to the Faculty of Sciences website, and you can always email to get further information about things. So just to finish off, I'd like to thank you all very much for coming along and listening to me talking about my particular passion, which is the Earth, how it works, and the living systems on that Earth. And I hope you really enjoy your day here on campus, and I really look forward to seeing some of you as students here in the future. Thanks very much.